Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
So nobody was like, well, I wonder how cool I'm going to look when I go out after the game. They were there for one reason and one reason only. It reminded me of my child last night at the Blue Jays game. Screamed and yelled the whole time. There was people in front looking like, I'm like, this. And I was down. He was there with his team. They were looking. And I thought, am I going to do something? Okay, I'm a pretty old school dad, right? If my kid is in the mall, if he's in public, he's going to behave. He's going to look you in the eye. He's going to shake hands. He's going to say, hello, my name is Lou. And he's going to be polite. But if he's at a sporting event, haywire, buddy, give her. Do what you got to do. Be the fan that you want to be. And I love that at Edmonton, people were being the fans that they wanted to be. They were not there to impress anyone. There was no agenda. That's what I loved about the whole vibe of the Ice District. Everybody was there for the Oilers, not for, I better look cool if I'm going to some bar afterwards.
You know, what's also cool about that is, I mean, I've been to Edmonton many times, road trips, visiting teams, stayed downtown. So now with the Panthers being my friends, they went in there as the enemy, and I said to them, don't wear your gear around, guys. I'm serious, because that might be a problem. And they were serious. You know, I didn't want them to get hurt. I've seen it go down, and they're with my teams, and they said there was none of that. Which is just hats off to Edmonton, but hats off to Edmonton. Man, they just come off looking so great in this whole thing.
They do, and I love that. See, the way I get it is you're both hockey fans, so why would you fight, right? You're not on the ice. Look, the football thing, I wouldn't wear any other team sweater to a Chicago game or a Green Bay game or a Raiders game, especially the Raiders back in the day. The Giants and Dodgers have had their issues. But don't we all we should all be united by the sport we love. Tip your cap to those who win. I sat beside a buddy last night. He's a Red Sox fan. So what? At least you're loving the same sport. But yeah, Edmonton came off total Ron Burgundy, total class.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome inside your favorite daytime sports talk show. I know it's bright coming out of your television screen on Game Plus. And we're on the radio. WQEE is always in Atlanta. Hey, to be honest, I'm not totally upset with what happened in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night, because more hockey and more talk fodder is always a good thing. I'm here in the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Moose is in Toronto. He had a very big night there, and that's going to be number 2 in our Quick Six show topics. I will tell everybody, all in sundry, Darren, that our guests today are Joey Alfieri of the Montreal Alouettes. He's coming up in hour 1 a little later on, and in hour 2, my good friend Matt Dubuc, who's got a hell of a story. You've heard me talk about Dubuc a million times, but he's a CFL alum. He's originally from Verdun, Quebec, but now he coaches Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's become one of my closest friends there. We're going to talk CFL with him. Stanley Cup Final, because he's from Canada, eh? Hockey still is well, it's up there. Maybe 1 and 1A, football and hockey for Dubuc. So that's coming up in hour 2. And listen, I'm just going to jump. Guys, Tuna, Bryce, whoever's there, can you hit the Quick Six show horn? We'll just jump right into this. We'll dispense. Thanks. We'll dispense with the pleasantries and get right down to it, Moose, because you've got a lot to say in the next point. The big story. We do it every day. We open the show with the big story. It's the Stanley Cup Final, and the Edmonton Oilers, who insist they play best when their backs are against the wall, have forced a Game 6 in the Stanley Cup Final. Captain Connor McDavid scored twice, had 2 assists, and Evan Bouchard chipped in with 3 assists as the visiting Oilers edged the Florida Panthers 5-3 on Tuesday night. Florida still leads the series 3-2, and now they go to Edmonton, which they didn't want to do, for Game 6 Friday night. So, Moose, we're going to, like the other day, put it in park. We're going to spend some time on this for a second. I just said it. This is from the Canadian Wire, the Sports Wire, the News Wire. The Oilers players have said, we play best when our backs are against the wall. Well, that's awesome, but now the Panthers' backs are against the wall as far as I'm concerned. They're still in the driver's seat. And I'm getting a little worked up because it's been an interesting morning. I've been on the radio in Calgary this morning talking about this series, giving the Florida perspective. I'll sum it all up in this, and then I'll hand it over to you because you asked me this morning in our morning meeting, what about those Panthers? Darren, they all, I think, got drunk on the euphoria of the feeling of becoming Florida sports heroes or South Florida sports heroes, like the Don Shulas and the Bob Greaseys and whoever with the Marlins when they won World Series. They were looking at becoming one of those. And even Tkachuk said it, his guarantee yesterday. He said, we're going to we got a chance here to do something that we've dreamt of our whole lives. Tonight, we're going to go out and do it. And then it was an empty promise from Tkachuk, although he did score, but for the first time in the series. Now, you want to talk about the Oilers having their back against the wall? They're going to face elimination at least 2 more times. They've done it the last 2 games, and kudos to the Oilers for coming out with their back against the wall, coming out swinging. But for the Panthers, they're on the cusp now of becoming goats in the South Florida market for the end of eternity. At least back-to-back trips to the Stanley Cup Final and maybe losses, because I still think they're going to win, by the way. I have the Panthers picked to win this series in 6. Check the receipts. But now, whose back's against the wall, Darren? Don't tell me it hasn't crept into their mind that they're on the precipice of becoming the biggest chokers and being goats in the South Florida sports market. That's what I think, and don't think it hasn't crossed their mind yet either.
It's going to be very interesting because this series has taken on a whole new dynamic. One thing that I think came out of the game, Matthew Tkachuk had a very good game, I think, for Florida. His best, clearly, of the series. He was a factor. They need to clean up special teams, no doubt. You can't allow the shorthanded goals to continue to pile up, and now power play goal. That put them behind the 8 ball. But different than Game 4, the Panthers had some pushback and made this a game. And it was 4-3, the third period, empty net goal, all the rest. So it was not the Oilers continuing to dominate. The Panthers played much better, even though Edmonton still won. And that's the way the Cup goes, right? You got 2 good teams playing. One team's going to win. Both teams are going to play pretty well. And you're right. Now the series goes back to Edmonton. I think Oilers fans are feeling pretty good. You won 2 in a row, going back into their barn where it's going to be very electric. Panthers have already won in Edmonton once, but it's just like, you say put it in park, and it's like, okay, this series now really gets started on Friday. And you got 2 good, like 1 or 2 really good games now where both teams are going to have immense amounts of pressure, and we're going to see what they're made of, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, the Oilers, not just the Oilers themselves, but their fans are awake now. I'm not sure if you checked our Facebook page last night where I posted photos from the game and talked about the fact that the Oilers won 5-3. They're all coming at me. And listen, Oilers fans, you need to understand, I'll be just as happy if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup. That's a fact. And I've said it enough on this show. I don't need to go back and say it again. But as far as the Panthers go, this is what I would do. And this is what I analyzed on Calgary radio this morning. Connor McDavid. Going into the series, everybody asked, how do you stop him? And Aaron Ekblad said, you don't. Well, they did it as a committee. It takes a village. And in the first 3 games, McDavid was a combined -3 and had 2 points. He was a non-factor in the first 3 games. And that's when I believe the Panthers started daydreaming about where the Stanley Cup parade was going to be and their legacy. And all. They were just dreaming mentally, manifesting it. Funny thing happened on the way to that. You didn't win your 4th game yet. And I think that's happened the last 2 games. And I'll be honest, I saw Panthers people putting on social media, talking about this being their last trip to the rink, that we're a cupless team. I'm like, what are you doing? You're jinxing this. You just be quiet until it's over. Can you do that? But no. So what I would do if I was the Panthers, and you tell me if this is even possible, do you think? I would tell everybody that's not part of the regular traveling party that you've had all year, stay home. Because we're going there to win it Friday night in Game 6, and we don't need any distractions. We don't need you all around. We need to get back to who we were all year, who we were the first 3 games of this series, because who we become, I don't even recognize you. That's not what they've been, Darren, and they need to get back to the... Could you tell those friends and family and extraneous staff that haven't traveled all year, we need you to stay home? How important is this to everybody? Do you think that's a possibility that you could do that?
we'll bring if we win the cup, we'll bring it home and celebrate, and you can wait for us on the tarmac, and we'll pop the champagne together. I would phrase it this way, Rod. I would say you guys need to stay home and prepare for Game 7, right? We need to be prepared for Game 7. So start rolling out the pregame party setup and the ticket packages and the promotions, and we need to make sure that we're ready for Game 7. And don't take winning the cup back in Edmonton for granted. When you start doing those things, karma says, and the hockey gods say, not yet. Like,
Oh, yeah.
So it's similar to what you say. What do you say, right? You don't spend the money till the grain's in the bin. You start thinking about the car you're going to buy and the things you're going to do and the trip you're going to have and all the rest, and you haven't even taken care of business. And you let your foot off the gas a little bit and zoom, the tortoise and the hare, right? So I'm there, but also we kind of saw a little bit, or at least I did, this coming with Edmonton. This has been their MO. They lose a few games and then go on a run. So this is, man, game on going into Game 6.
I want to point out from our audience, Craig Campbell writing in from the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's accompanying the Stanley Cup, and he's watching right now. Craig writes it. I saw photos of you last night, Craig, putting the thing back in the case at Amerit Bank Arena. He goes, Smythe and Stanley in the air via KC to Edmonton. RP show on thanks to in-flight Wi-Fi. So our friends at the Hockey Hall of Fame are watching the program right now as we talk about what went down last night. So Mandy in Edmonton writes in, she goes, talk about that last goal last night. Holy cow, giving us a show. They both want it equally now. Right, Rod? Yeah, I'd have to say, I said going into the series, Panthers were hungrier, and they showed it the first 3 games. The Oilers have showed it the last 2. Now, who's hungrier? I've said it many times. I'll say, somebody said, by the way, that I said the Panthers let the Oilers win Game 4 so they could come back and win it at 4 in Game 5. I did not say that. That was out there, but I didn't say it. So, as Chris Jones would say, don't get it twisted. Now, we've got 2 hours to talk about this, and Joey Alfieri is coming up from the Alouettes. They open Week 2 at home to Ottawa on Thursday night, and we've got Matt Dubuc from Cardinal Gibbons High School, Panthers fan, coming up in hour 2, and 3-time 5A state football champion in the state of Florida. So that's all coming up. I have way, way, way more thoughts other than to say this. For Florida, these 2 days off in between games, by the way, I don't really like it, but we are where we are. So whatever. Here we go. Gives guys like our friend Craig and Phil Pritchard time to travel across the country and all the staff and everything. So whatever. Who cares? We're just staying at home watching it on TV anyways. We'll go about our lives. But for the Panthers, it's an opportunity to mentally reset, obviously physically recover. And I will tell you this, as a professional mental health coach and grief, trauma, and stress expert and how to deal with it, the sooner, from a Panthers perspective, that you can forget the last 2 games, the better off you'll be. Forget it even happened. Focus on this trip if that's where you are, and focus on Game 6. But don't think about the past, because all you're doing is languishing in something that isn't going to help you. So we'll move on, other than to tell you to elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw here, where passion meets performance. Check us out at GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. We do have some wonderful CFL talk coming up, and I'm just so pleased and punch that the NHL people are using our show to help pass the time on the long flight from Florida to Edmonton.
Rod,
Sedani,
doesn't that feel good?
What do you got?
We are accompanying the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy.
That's right.
It's very cool. Makes me feel good.
Absolutely, it should. So before we get to that CFL stuff, get the photos ready, guys. Darren had a really wonderful night in Toronto. The Blue Jays did not. If I'm saying this name right, Sedani Rafaela had 3 hits, including a tie-breaking single in the 8th, and the visiting Boston Red Sox beat the Toronto Blue Jays 4-3 Tuesday night. Tyler O'Neill of Burnaby, BC, homered and scored twice. Rafael Devers had 2 hits, and the Red Sox won for the 7th time in 9 games, and they go for the sweep tonight. You were at the game, part of the Joe Carter VIP experience with literally all of Toronto's biggest sports greats. So you just take over. And Tuna, who's producing the show, has got a few photos from last night. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And here's just a shot of the suite. It was the TD suite. That's looking out towards the ballpark. Jays and Red Sox were playing. And, big thanks to DraftKings for the invite. and having me a part of it. Who was there, man? You can pull up the next photo if you'd like. Had a chance to spend some time with these two. If you recognize them, on the left in the white shirt is Jay's great and MVP Josh Donaldson. And then we all know Joe Carter on the other side. They were having a great time. And Joe Carter, we had some time together with him and Josh, but Joe is as gracious with his time as anybody I've ever met. He signed every autograph. He took every photo while trying to watch a bit of the game. So it was awesome. Look, I wrote down some of the names of the people that were there. Joe Carter was there. Obviously, Josh Donaldson. Guys who've been on our show. Rick Vive, Maple Leaf legend, was there. Rod Black, who we know and love. CFL Michael Pinball Clemens and John Murphy of the Argos made an appearance. Damon Allen was there. Had a good visit with him. Spent a lot of time with Bernie Nichols and his beautiful partner, Amanda. They were there, his wife. Bruce Smith, the former Buffalo Bill, was there. Mike Vanderjack was there. Rachel Holman, Emma Miskew were there, and they said hi. And obviously recognized me. Roger Clemens was in the building, and there we saw him. Kenny Lofton, and there's a number of other baseball and hockey players who were there. So it was definitely a fun night, and really thank DraftKings for thinking of the RP show.
Yeah, thank you, DraftKings, for the invite. So Moose has the Toronto portion of it covered, and I've got the others. By the way, breaking news has come down from the National Hockey League. The Calgary Flames have traded goaltender Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils. And I have to give credit to my guy, Jersey Jim, because he's been on this story since January. It's a thing. Sportsnet, the first to report it from what I can see, Jacob Markstrom traded from the Calgary Flames to the New Jersey Devils this morning. So we'll have analysis on that coming up. Now, I'm not just done on the baseball yet. Willie Mays, baseball's exuberant and electrifying Say Hey Kid, has died at age 93. We saw the coverage last night. The Giants and Mays family jointly announced his death on Tuesday. The Giants center fielder, with his signature basket catch, was one of the game's greatest and most beloved players. But I'll say this, he's 93. It's been a long time since he played. He's one of the greatest in the game ever. But you remember the movie Major League? Joe and I here in Moose Jaw were talking about it last night. It's been so long. The Wesley Snipes character, Say Hey, Willie Mays.
Willie
Hey like
Mays,
Mays, run like Hayes. Yeah, Willie Mays Hayes. Right. I mean, Willie had long been retired 40 years ago when that movie came out, or 35 years ago when that movie came out. It's been a long time. People still talking about this guy. Condolences to the family of Willie Mays, but he was 93, and he's left no regrets on earth. By the way, Western Canadian Baseball League last night, just want to point this out, in Saskatoon, the Berries got stomped 24-7 by the Brooks Bombers. 24-7, Brooks won in Saskatoon last night. Weyburn won 11-3 at home over Medicine Hat, and Edmonton beat Fort McMurray 8-2. We tonight, the Moose Jaw Millers open a 4-game homestand. We've got Medicine Hat in for 2 beginning tonight at Roswell's Park, 7:05 first pitch. It'll be sunny by tonight, Moose. When we come back, we'll discuss more of the NHL news, including this Jacob Markstrom trade, and the game of the week in the Canadian Football League. What's it going to be? CFL notes, of which there are many. I got some NFL stuff coming, so just hang on. And it's a 3-banger in the Canadian Elite Basketball League tonight. So we'll be right back. Live here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Everybody, welcome back. And did you know that we're brought to you in part by the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team? They play out of the SaskTel Center, offering the best entertainment for all of Saskatchewan sports fans. Their season started with leadership from their NBA experienced head coach Larry Abney, and they look to get back to championship weekend this August. Get your tickets now. Visit Ticketmaster or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. They are home on Thursday night to the Calgary Surge on Indigenous Night at SaskTel Center in the phone booth. Okay, Moose, let's bring him in from Tirana, and I'm just going through. Here's the deal for Jacob Markstrom, and it's interesting seeing the comments from our viewers on this. Jacob Markstrom to the Devils, this from Darren Dreger. In return, Calgary gets 23-year-old defenseman Kevin Ball and a first-round pick in 2025. So let's just say I don't know anything about Kevin Ball. I'm not a scout. Kevin Ball, but Markstrom for a first rounder, I think is a good deal, especially for a guy that didn't want to be there. So we could sit here and analyze this for 2 hours, but God knows they're going to do that on Calgary radio. The guy wanted out. They made the move. They got a first rounder back. And to be honest, Craig Conroy doesn't have a history of losing trades. He's only been on the job for a year. But Markstrom's gone. It's Dustin Wolf's team, and I do believe Dan Vladar is under contract coming back as the backup. Bingo! The Wolf era begins. The Wolf era begins in Calgary now, officially. At least it's wrapped up, is my take on this, because you knew he wasn't going to be there this season.
Yeah, that's kind of mine too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Jacob Markstrom was a free agent signing in Calgary, right? So he came from Vancouver to Calgary as a free agent, leaves, and you get a first-round pick, and you get a young D-man as well in return. Plus, you got the few years you got with Jacob Markstrom. So I think it's a plus. You didn't lose any assets at all. You lost a little bit of salary cap space. You spent a little money to have him. You bring in the free agent and you acquire a first-round pick on the way out. I think that's a win for Calgary. Yes, it does leave a bit of a hole in their goaltending situation just because Dustin Wolf is still very young. I think he is absolutely the next guy. I think he's going to be great. And they're set in goal for the next, decade or more in net with Dustin Wolf. But he's just 23. Dan Vladar is 26.
They should be.
But clearly that era is now in process, and the Flames have their plan.
Well, look, I can talk about this for a long time, but I'm not going to. But I'll wrap it up neat and tidy. Sean Simpson said this on this show the other day out of Ottawa. He goes, when you have a goaltender like Stuart Skinner, when they reach the peak of their development and it matches the peak of your team, you have, voila, where the Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final. On the flip side with the Calgary Flames, when they made the decision to go younger and they got rid of Elias Lindholm and Chris Tanev and Noah Hanifin, they just bailed off and were sellers at the deadline. What are you keeping an aged goaltender like Jacob Markstrom for that was a first-rounder by Florida way back in 2008? If you're going to go young up front, go young in goal and come up together. But Jock Wilson doesn't agree with that, and I respect the hell out of Jock Wilson, the longtime Flames and now Stampeders host. He goes, you got a young team, put a veteran goalie in there to make some saves and maybe get us some wins. I disagree, but that's the fun thing of what we do here. Again, everybody comes in together and they grow together. And this is basically the Calgary Flames doing the rebuild without saying the rebuild because they don't want to have anybody burn their season tickets. The Flames are doing a rebuild, but they're not telling you. Okay, sorry to ruin the surprise for you. And I, to be honest, I applaud it. You got to at some point rip the Band-Aid off, and today they did. Now, Bill Edwards writes in, he says, good morning, all. Wow, that was a great game. Last night it was, and we opened the show, talked pretty much the whole first segment about it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he says, as a CFL fan first, I say, will this NHL season ever end? LOL. That's the one thing football has figured out. The NFL season, short. CFL season, short. It makes you want more. And if you can stay in the news year-round, that's great. But the NHL, it's like an 11-month season, or at least it feels that way. I'm okay with it because I love the hockey, but I can see how the other fans are like, can we move on? Yeah. So, and we will do that. We covered the Blue Jays. They hope to avoid a sweep tonight by the visiting Boston Red Sox. We talked about Moose being a Joe Carter night. I do want to talk about this because it is summer, and it's to the third point of what we do here of the Quick Six Show topics, and that is the CFL. The poll question today is this. Let me get out the results here. What is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? And if you want to circle back around, everybody, on the Jacob Markstrom trade, we can, but we just gave our thoughts. They are doing a rebuild without telling you it's a rebuild, and we applaud it, and it's Wolf time in Winnipeg. In Calgary. So to the poll question, what's Canada's game of the week in the CFL? Thursday night it opens Ottawa at Montreal. Friday night BC at Winnipeg. Saturday Edmonton at Toronto. And Sunday Hamilton at Saskatchewan. And that's how the results of this tell me we've accomplished our goal of not being solely a Saskatchewan show, even though that's still number one region, because we are a national television channel. Leading the vote with 47%, Darren, is BC at Winnipeg, which is who you voted for. Second place is Hamilton at Sask, which I voted for on Sunday with 36% of the vote. And then 9% Ottawa at Montreal and 8% Edmonton at Toronto. And I don't know what it's going to take to spruce up that Edmonton at Toronto game, the rematch of the 1996 Grey Cup. I don't know. But Friday Night Football, BC at Winnipeg. This is a little bit of a thing that sticks in my craw. I came up in a wonderful era, everybody, of the Globe and Mail and William Houston's column, Truth and Rumors, every whatever day it was. Friday, maybe. It had the TV ratings from the weekend before, and we raced to scan to see. Would you even know where to go, Darren, to find out what the ratings are? I don't even know where to go. What they were for Saturday night's CFL game versus Game 4 of the Stanley Cup. And now we got Game 6 Friday night, the cup-clinching game versus BC at Winnipeg. Plus, God knows what the Blue Jays are doing, and apparently there's a soccer tournament going on right now. I tried to find the ratings the other day, and I can't. Where are they?
Yeah, I don't know, and it's not something I look for very often. I'm interested if I see them and read them, but yeah, I'm not sure where to find them. I mean, there's different ratings accounts, I'm sure, that are posting them, but not on a regular basis. So I don't know where they are. But I'm sure the ratings
it's
are
okay. It's not a failing on your part, and you don't care. But I care because we're on Game Plus television, which, as you pointed out last night, and Ken Reed said on the show here yesterday, we're doing great things. People are watching. I'd kind of like to know what Canadians are watching on TV. Call me crazy, because I would reflect it in what we're doing here. You know what that's why I'd like to know what the ratings are. Now, yeah, of course, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about, but I also want to appeal to the audience. And, yeah, lots of comments on the Markstrom trade. Again, for those that have just tuned in, Jacob Markstrom traded by the Calgary Flames to the New Jersey Devils. It is a watershed day, and I need to just slow things down because it's a blur right now in sports. It's certainly, at least it is in my cranium. So I'll answer these one at a time and try to get to the CFL if we can. It's just mind-bending to me that Jeff, the Stamps fan, you know, they want to talk football, yet they write in with hockey comments, and it screws my mind. But Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, sadly, Markstrom is a top 5 Flames goalie of all time for getting us out of the first round 2 years ago. Bro, it's okay to say that. Folks, in your team fandom, how many goalies stand out? What's sad that Markstrom's top 5 and he's only been there 5 years? Be honest, there's only 2 goalies in Calgary. Two. Mike Vernon and Mika Kiprasov. In Edmonton, how many are there? I'm sorry. How many are there? Grant Fuhr. You're probably going to say Bill Ranford. And who else? Yeah. We kind of talk about who won. Let's just, Dwayne Montreal, Wallace. Different. Roley, all the way in 06. Yeah, for sure. But Montreal is different. Go out, Kerry. Yeah, you're lucky if you got 2. You're lucky if you got 2. New York Rangers. Of course, I'm a goalie guy, but I would go back and I'm thinking Charlie Rayner, Emile the Cat Francis. To you people, Henrik Lundqvist, Mike Richter obviously won a Stanley Cup in 1994. New York, but again, they were talking about teams that have been around for 100 years. Florida, there's 1. Roberto Luongo. Vancouver, we haven't forgot about
what about Van Beesbrook? There's 2.
Just hang. Beezer in New York, for sure. In Vancouver, no, Richard Brodeur, Kirk. Oh, yeah, Beezer. Yeah, he went to the stat. But in my mind, the guy that they talk about the most is Lou. But Beezer would be another one. Yes, thank you. Vancouver, Richard Brodeur, Kirk McLean, and Lou. And we're looking at record book stuff here. Roberto Luongo is the winningest goalie for 2 teams, Vancouver and Florida. Winnipeg. Are we talking regular season or playoffs? Connor Hellebuck, Stefan Beauregard, Pokey Reddick. I mean, it's not a long list. Wayne in BC writes in and says, Rod, you've got me somewhat hooked on hockey now, LOL. Join the club. Thank you, Wayne. And we can go around LA. I mean, Kelly Rudy obviously comes to mind, Jonathan Quick. And I can get deep into the Rogie Vachons and stuff like that, but it's just not a long list with friend. At Dallas, Ed Belfour. As far as I'm concerned, end of story. And your team's the Leafs. You and Clark can take a couple cuts at that. But again, you're talking about a 100-year-old franchise, so you're going to have more than 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to go way back to Terry Sawchuk and Bauer, Johnny Bauer, and Bernie Perrin, all those guys, right? But, yeah, you got to talk about, Florida or Calgary, sorry. And Dustin Wolf has every bit of pedigree to join Mike Vernon and join Mika Kiprasov amongst those great goaltenders, but it has to develop. And I was looking back in the break, and just as we were talking about it, I said he's 23 years old. Stuart Skinner's 25. So you want to talk about Skinner now being mature enough and leading the Oilers to a cup and just entering, his prime and becoming a good goaltender, an elite goaltender in the NHL, right? At 25, and he's only going to get better, and the Oilers are going to be better as a result. So Dustin Wolf is right entering that now. 23, he's almost at that same age as Stuart Skinner. This is the time to hand the baton off, and It might be a little rough rebuild to start, but it's going to be fine for Flames fans.
Well, and again, don't expect him to be the next Mike Vernon at 23, okay? You are going into a rebuild. But the one thing about Calgary fans, and we have a ton of them watching, our ratings tell us that, they're not dumb. They're just impatient. And you can't blame them because they've been told to be patient for a real long time. And that's why the Flames aren't saying it's a rebuild, but I'm just done. It's a rebuild. Okay. I'm really enjoying the goalie discussion, though. Randy from Winnipeg writes, and he says, Bob Essenza for the Jets. Oh, yeah. Well, it's tough when you go with teams that have never won. Tampa Bay's won Stanley Cups. It's Vazzy, and it's the Bulin Wall, Nikolai Khabibulin. But there are some teams that you can't, like Arizona Coyotes.
Khabibulin.
I couldn't even, yeah, Khabibulin. Couldn't even name a guy. Chicago, Tony Esposito. Open and shut. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a long list there. But as we know, Montreal is a very long list, and we're going there next. Moose, we will see you in hour 2, okay?
See you then.
All right, and the big news of the day, Jacob Markstrom dealt by the Calgary Flames to the New Jersey Devils for defenseman Kevin Ball and a first-round pick in 2025. It's a win. It's a win for Calgary today, as far as I'm concerned. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience. In the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
We're brought to you in part by Landmark Cinemas. Sign up for Landmark Extras for free today at landmarkcinemas.com. There's 3 programs for you to choose from. Moose and I are members of it. Just recapping, Jacob Markstrom dealt by the Flames to the Devils today for a first-round pick next year, and defenseman Kevin Ball. Oilers win at Florida last night 5-3 to force a Game 6 in Edmonton Friday night. In Florida, it's a mix of anger, shock, and worry. And for Oilers fans, elation as they come back and think that they're going to win this series, and it's taking quite a turn. And let's bring in Joey Alfieri now. Week 3 in the CFL opens Thursday night with the Red Blacks at the Montreal Alouettes. Les Alouettes have, what's your home opener, Joey? The best team in the CFL. Have you got your rings yet? What's exciting about Thursday night at McGill?
Yeah, Roddy. Thanks for having me, first of all. I mean, the rings have already come in. We did get our rings. It was the day before training camp, so that was pretty cool. But it's the raising of the banner now, right? The 8th championship banner in the stadium. So there's definitely that to look forward to. And it's always intense when Montreal and Ottawa play, right? So that'll be fun. But just being in front of the home crowd for the first time since, I mean, if you don't count the preseason, it's the first time since the beginning of November. So it's been quite a while.
How's ticket sales?
Really good, really good. Yeah, I know that late last week they announced that they were over 20,000 capacities, a little over 23, I think. So it's gone really, really well. People are really excited, and we don't just see it in ticket sales. I think we've seen it in TV ratings here locally. We've seen it in radio ratings as well. We've seen it on social media. I mean, our numbers are just through the roof. Like it's not comparable to anything the franchise has seen before. So, winning the Grey Cup, it goes a long way. I like to think that the marketing people are doing a really nice job here, but let's not kid ourselves. Danny Machocha, Jason Moss, Cody Fajardo, and those guys that are really driving things. And I can tell you, Roddy, it's become cool again to follow the Montreal Alouettes. There's a couple of years where they had some down years here. They were 3-15 at one point. They were 5-13, and now it's like people are slowly starting to pile on the bandwagon, and it's a lot of fun. We've got that momentum going, and hopefully they can keep it rocking.
Well, I mean this in all sincerity. All markets across the CFL are great to attend a game. All stadiums are awesome. But I mean, if there's one, if you died without going to a game in Montreal, you would die incomplete. And I say that in all sincerity, man, because there's nothing like it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's a place where, even before I started working here, I mean, I've had season tickets in my family for, almost since day one of the return to Montreal, a couple of years into their return. But, so it's, my family's been supporting for a while, so it has nothing to do with me working here. I love being there. I grew up there. There's no view, whether if you sit on the south side, you have the view of the mountain and the cross on the mountain. If you sit on the north side, you have the Montreal skyline. So you really can't lose. But look, I've done every stadium in the CFL officially last year. I did the last one. I went to BC. There's, everybody has some great and unique things about their respective barns. I think Montreal goes head to head against any one of them. I think the game day experience is unmatched. There's no bad seat in the place, and you've got the views to match it. If you want to, if you get distracted, you want to gaze into the sun. You have some nice views there too. So that definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah, well, and that's and the best thing is the team's winning now. And I'll keep this quick, but I could talk to you forever. We got about 5 minutes to do this, Joey, and because I have a lot of questions for you. But Cody Fajardo has said that you guys are better than last year. And Cody don't brag. I know him very well. He wouldn't say that if he didn't believe it. Are you better than last year?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to, obviously when you finish the season on an 8-game winning streak, you annihilate Toronto in the East Final, and then you end up winning the Grey Cup. That's a pretty darn good team. I think what they're saying is, or what Cody's saying is that, at this time last year, everybody's getting to know each other. Everyone's trying to get the playbook down. So I think at the same time last year, they're a better team. There's no doubt about it. I think they're a lot more in sync. Down the stretch remains to be seen. We'll see what happens. But if they're this good now, and look, adversity always strikes. I mean, you've been following the league for a long time, Roddy. You know how it is. An 18-game season, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. To me, you said it. Cody doesn't say things for no reason. But I'm with him. I think this is a team that is better. It's rare that you get most of your core back from a Grey Cup team. There have been some changes here and there. But even the young guys that have come in have really stepped up early on. So I'm with Cody. I do think that this is a better team. And I think that at the same time, at this point last year, they're ahead of where they were. So I'm hoping that by the end of the season, I don't know how much more ahead you can get of a Grey Cup winning team. Maybe you win the Grey Cup by 50. But I'm hoping that it stays on that track. Would be nice.
I do have a Montreal BC Grey Cup in BC, so hold me to that, please. But to back it up, big picture, because you're working in it, you're day-to-day in the trenches, and I've been there. I don't want to be that anymore. That's why I'm sitting here. I can just sit back and look over everything, the whole league, and I see Danny come in and just do a rebuild in a year. Who does that? I mean, Trustman and Pop did it in 2017 with the Argos, but they had Ricky Ray. You guys didn't even have a entrenched quarterback. You had to go out and sign Cody. So, how would you say they did it?
Well, look, I think obviously, Rod, first of all, you took the big money move. Like, you're making the big money now, so let's just get that out of the way first of all, okay? Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I see how it is. When I'm older, I want to be like you. I keep telling people. But seriously, on a more serious note, obviously you have to sign the right players. So you have to be confident in your scouting in and out of the league. But the other thing is, and I know that people on the outside, they kind of roll their eyes at this sometimes, but they built a culture here. They built it. It took some time. It took about half a season, but from ownership on down through president, general manager, and head coach, those guys helped build a culture here. And this is a really tight knit group. And I know everybody says that, but Rod, you go in this locker room downstairs, and you have defensive backs playing ping pong against a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. You have guys, I've never seen a team, different portions and position groups of a team come together and really be one and hang out. And I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy how tight-knit this group is. And I feel like, yes, talent is a big part of it. They signed the right players. They brought in the right guys. They had some really good midseason acquisitions like Lemon and Sankey, and that all helped. But the culture that Danny and Jason and everyone above them have built, just on the way here is really special to watch. And I think it's a big reason why they had that success. And that's how you do it. I don't know how you do a rebuild in 1 year, but they figured out a way.
Yeah, well, for sure. I don't know Danny well. We both were in the league a long time. What I know of him, I like. But I know Moz and I know Cody. And if he's like them and he put them in place, that kind of tells me what you're saying. Good people, right? And you're in that group. Yeah. And are the fans figured that out yet? They must.
Yeah, they did. I think that, like I said, people have taken a liking to this group. Also, we've taken the fan, behind the scenes into the locker room. They get to see Jason Moss pregame, postgame speeches. They get to see the captains address the team. And I think it's impossible to not get chills when you hear some of the things, especially down the stretch last year, when you hear some of the things that are said in the locker room. Alex Gagne, who's a former Saskatchewan Rough Rider, has become an integral part of the special teams and of the locker, the fabric of the locker room here. I mean, he had. I'd invite people to go see it, even if you're not an Alouettes fan. It's on YouTube. Before the East Final, I mean, you're the arms, the hair on your arms stand up when you watch stuff like that. So I think people have figured out that it's a big time culture thing. Yes, there's a lot of players to love. There's some talented people here, no doubt about that. But man, I'm just telling you, what they built from a culture standpoint here, I mean, they should write a textbook on it, because there's a lot of teams and a lot of sports that have been searching for an identity and for culture building, that they could learn a thing or two from the people that are in place here. Let me just tell you that. Let me put it that way.
Oh yeah, well, Gagne, he's a good one, and I'll just say, flip you, just watch. Thank you, Joey. I'll be watching tomorrow night. Thanks for fitting us in, man. Bon chance.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thanks, Roddy.
The great Joey Alfieri of MontrealAlouettes.com. We'll be right back with a sports update after this. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcast, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Yeah. It's hour 2, and I don't think an hour is going to be long enough to cram this all in. I'm very excited to, in our next segment, bring on my good friend Matt Dubuc. He's going to be joining us from Fort Lauderdale in the Panther-centric area as the Stanley Cup Final goes to Game 6 Friday. And maybe a Game 7. Matt is also a CFL alum. He was a receiver with the Bombers and the Argos. And he's from Verdun, Quebec, but calls Fort Lauderdale home. He's become one of my closest friends in Florida. He's coming up next segment. But now Moose is joining me from Toronto. We're close to the biggest trade. The big story is hasn't usurped the Stanley Cup Final, but in Calgary it certainly has. Jacob Markstrom has been dealt from the Flames to the New Jersey Devils defenseman. 23-year-old defenseman Kevin Ball coming back the other way, and a first-round pick in 2025. Paul in Humboldt writes in and he says, NHL teams are making use of the extra days off in the finals to make their announcements regarding coaches, waivers, and trades without distracting from the games. It's busy. Yes, the non-hockey fans are saying, when is this going to end? So it might end Friday, and I'll put this to you, Moose. I got a good friend of mine, Gibby Gibbons, the most famous junior hockey player in Minot, North Dakota. He's texted me asking if I got a line on a ticket for him. Man, he is very he's one of the most confident people I know. He didn't bothering me. He loves himself so much, and the thing about that is he'll tell you that he loves himself so much. And I played very briefly with him as well. He's a good hockey player. Not as good as he thinks, but he's writing me from Minot asking if I can get him a ticket for Game 7 against the Panthers, because he's the biggest Oiler fan, he said. Can you get me, your biggest Oiler fan friend, a ticket? I pay cash. Gibby pays cash, he says. And I'm like, dude, there's 1 million of them on Ticketmaster. But see how confident he is? He's so confident that Game 6 it's a formality. Going back to Sunrise for Game 7, can you get me a ticket? I'm not Ticketmaster, Gibby, if you're watching right now, and they're not hard to get. And I don't know who these people are. Did you watch the whole game? No, you didn't watch any of the game last night. You were at the Blue Jays last night. How much did you see?
Well, funny enough, the photo I didn't include, I did take a photo. There was a couple of Jays fans in the suite, and they had the game on their iPad. So I was the guy up in the back rail, leaning up, kind of looking over, trying to watch the game while the Jays game was going on, and I'm trying to visit. And then I got home and I watched kind of most of the third period.
Okay, so we're going to have fun here, and trust me, well, we always have fun, but we're going to talk about Week 3 in the CFL, but more of that next segment with Matt Dubuc, because he's one of the guys that calls or texts me during the CFL games, and we talk about all the games. We'll save that talk for next segment when Dubuc joins us. He's the most famous high school football coach in Florida, and he'll be in the pros soon, or college, if not by next season, sooner. But to the hockey, and I appreciate Fan 960 Calgary bringing me on this morning. They're doing great things on Fan 960. We talked about this game last night. Moose didn't watch it because he was at the Joe Carter VIP event at Rogers Center last night where the Blue Jays lost again to the Boston Red Sox. Just by name, rattle off some of the names at the event that you were at. Just rattle off the names.
Joe Carter, Josh Donaldson, Rick Vive, Rod Black, Roger Clemens, Damon Allen, Pinball Clemens, Kenny Lofton, Mike Vanderjack, Bruce Smith. The list goes on.
Rachel Holman, Emma Miskew were a couple more.
Yes.
So the Rod Pedersen show and Moose were guests of DraftKings at the Joe Carter event last night. So that's why you're excused. You're excused for not watching the hockey game because you were at a fairly important thing.
I didn't get Joe to sign my slip, but take his word for it.
That's okay. You got a picture with him. It's even better. As my friend Chris from the Bronx says, when we were out fishing and we had to throw our fish back, these big rainbow bass that we caught in Florida. I'm like, why are we throwing them back? He's like, just take pictures. Pictures last longer. Remember that, Moose. Pictures last longer than the autographs. So on the radio this morning in Calgary, we were breaking down the Panthers losing last night 5-3 in an elimination game. They could have won the Stanley Cup at home had they knocked off the Oilers. But they weren't really even in the game at all. Of a 60-minute game, they might have really held the pace for 5 minutes. And I said, you obviously haven't seen Jack Nicklaus beating the drum last night at the game. Did you see any video of that?
No.
The Golden Bear? Okay.
No.
So they have a big drum. They have a big drum. I want to say it's about 5 feet in diameter. And they bring in local sports celebrities. And what have I told you? All the sports celebrities live in South Florida. It ain't hard to get a really big name in sports to come pound that drum before the game. And just off the top of my head, like Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach, a lot of Dolphins, Mark Ingram, Raheem Mostert. There's been NBA stars there. Dwayne Wade's pounded it. Everybody. Like literally everybody's been. And they bring in Jack Nicklaus last night. And they really pound on this drum. And it's bang, 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 bang. And the whole crowd goes, let's go, Panthers. It just whips the thing into a furor. It's awesome, man. We all can't wait to see who bangs the drum. Last night it was Jack Nicklaus. And here's him. I have the video of it if you want to see it because Thad sent it to me, my guy. Here's Jack Nicklaus. The whole crowd seemed stunned. I'm like, this is setting the tone for the whole game. It's like a grade 8 band.
Hit it!
Mike McDaniel gets up there like a freaking sledgehammer. He's bringing it from his feet. Whack, 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 whack. He's almost putting a hole in it. And the place, Marino's done us, been there when Dan Marino is ripped. Oh, my God. It was a buzzkill. Jack Nicklaus was a buzzkill last night. And some people were upset that I said that. I don't care. I'm not talking about his golf abilities. So everybody seems to think this is going 7. Who the heck was it? There was this morning on the radio in Calgary. They said, you know who they should get for Game 7 to bang the drum? Because it's a thing. Even before the playoffs started, people were saying in my circle, hey, if it goes Game 7 Stanley Cup, who should we get? You know, everybody's talking about it. And this guy, Patrick, this morning on Fan 960 goes, The Rock. And I'm like, probably wouldn't be that hard to get. He lives there. He's around. But he's far more of a football guy, but whatever. I say it should be Randy Moeller because to me, he is the guy. To me, he embodies pretty much day one guy, has been through all the crap. But Jack Nicklaus set the tone last night. And Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. And he goes, it felt like we should have whispered how he was hitting the drum. Huge buzzkill.
Let's go, Panthers.
Hey, clearly, Jack, you don't watch the Panthers games, man.
Well, he's sitting there being like,
they have everybody.
Quiet on the tee box. Quiet on the tee.
Listen, I will send you the video. Again, me, golf, I don't get golf people. And clearly, they don't get me. But I'll send you the video of it. The whole crowd seems stunned. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. It's an elimination game. We can win it at home and win the Stanley Cup. And you're saying, dee, dee. It was sort of like cowbell. Will Ferrell was that Saturday Night Live. Just, no. Hit the frickin' thing.
Golf clap
so that was last
hitting
night.
the.
Yeah.
hitting the drum.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it. Reg in Winnipeg says Jack was hitting it like a tap in the putt. Just give it a little tap. A little tap. That was, and they very rarely show that on television. That's why I always say you got to go to the games. It's better in the stands. It's better in the venue. Movies are better in the theater. But last night, Sportsnet showed it. And, by the way, George Ruslick on the radio in Calgary this morning, because I brought this up. I said, Jack Nicklaus set the tone, and it wasn't a good one all night. And he goes, what did he ever? He goes, Cuthbert, after they showed him beating the drum, Cuthbert goes, and the Panthers fans are all riled up. And George said, no, they're not. Huge buzzkill, as Brent says. Landon writes in and says, honest question, are the Oilers in Bob's head right now? I think they have to be a little bit. You would have to ask Bob, number one. Producer Clark's dad writes in, Rod Monroe, he says, Rod's rant about Nicholas, priceless.
How about that?
It's not rehearsed, man. I was just disappointed. And I know that I say things that other people are thinking and don't want to say, but the other people don't have a show. So I got to say these things that everybody else is thinking. Darren, are they in Bob's head? I'd like to think not, but everybody's got an opinion on this. I mean, Craig Button, tell you, I love him. Like, he is family. I don't love him like family. He is family, Craig Button. After the Game 4 loss, he said, there's no way there's a sliver of doubt in the mind of the Panthers after losing 8-1. I'm like, I don't agree. How could there not be? And now he was asked about last night. What are their thoughts now after losing 2? Well, there's some doubt in their mind now. No, there was the other night, and they went out and played like it last night. But you asked about Bob. The guy's making $10.5 million, 2-time Vezina winner, might win a third this year if he's worth his salt. He is like all the Panthers. He just needs Friday night or Game 7 if there is one. But if they do this Friday, there won't be a Game 7. Go out and be you. I'm watching Jennifer Botterill last night, and it's 11:11 Mountain, by the way, Darren, 1:11 Eastern, just to point that out for everybody. If you're into that thing, I'm watching Jennifer Botterill going, she's all fired up on the set. I'm like, she is so cool. If this doesn't offend people, if I don't get canceled, I'm sitting on the couch going, she's one cool chick. Because I did an event with her and Yvonne Cornwallier. I probably told you about it in Weyburn. And she got up and talked about winning the gold medal in Nagano with Team Canada women's hockey and how Steve Yzerman came in and gave a speech. And he was playing on the men's team. He came in to speak to the women's team before they played the USA in the final. Do you remember if I told you this? And Yzerman said 2 words, or maybe 3. Ladies, trust yourself. He walked out of the room. That was from Jennifer Botterill. Her speech was unreal. And I think about that all the time when I'm coaching people in the recovery world, mental health, addiction recovery, you name it. Just trust yourself. You can do it. You wonder why Steve Yzerman's in the Hall of Fame? And that's all you got to do if you're Bob. Just be you. Don't let all this stuff get into your head and all the outside, Bob. You didn't see the game last night. I mean, I don't put this one on Bob. I don't really put Game 4 on Bob, but I never would because you know how much I love him. But I don't think he's going to give up 3 or more in 3 straight. If the Oilers are counting on that Friday, I wouldn't count on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't. The Oilers have got the special teams going again, though, which is a real scary thing if you're the Panthers, that they've got that going. Not only scoring shorthanded in back-to-back games, that just can't happen if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, allowing shorthanded goals, especially in back-to-back games. The other one, though, is now you're going to go back into hostile territory in Edmonton, and you got those fans who are going to be on you. The only good news, I think, for Bob and all this is Bobrovsky's a hard name to cheer if you're trying to get under his skin, you know? Skinner or Turco.
No, it's actually not.
You know,
no.
Bobrovsky, like it's not a good name.
It'll be Bobby. It's not that hard at all. And at American Bank Arena, it's like Rocky. They get going, Bobby. Like it's awesome in Sunrise. Oiler fans, they'll figure it out. Thanks for the challenge,
It
Moose.
could get that.
By the
If
way,
they figure it out and get on the same page, it could get ugly.
I think they can figure it out in Edmonton. Regarding how long this series is, Brian, or an NHL season overall, Brian in Hudson's Bay writes, and he says, the NHL is like school. They take July and August off. That's it. Now we got another week of it. Oh, well, I'll be watching CFL Friday night, not hockey. That's for sure. Just end already. Brian in Hudson Bay. Next segment, Matt Dubuc will join us to talk all of the CFL Week 3, and he's primed and ready to go, my good buddy from Fort Lauderdale. The goalie discussion. Everybody loves goalies. They're like tough guys. Everybody loves the heavyweights, the fighters. Everybody loves the goalies. Freddie in Winnipeg, regarding your list of franchise goalies, he goes, just a quick shout-out about the goalie conversation to three-time Avco Cup winner, Jets goalie Joe Daly. He beat an 18-year-old Gretzky in the final championship of the WHA. I appreciate that, Freddie from Winnipeg, but I didn't even know that. And I'd like to fashion myself as a goalie guy and a hockey guy. Is his name in the rafters? Because I don't think I've ever heard of Joe Daly. I've heard of Jim Daly, the old Bomber coach. We've all heard of John Daly, but not Joe Daly. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod. For me, it's Mike Palmateer for the Leafs, who stoned the mighty Islanders in the 1978 playoffs. What a legendary performance. Again, who are the greats? Because Jacob Markstrom's been traded by the Flames to New Jersey, and Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says he's top 5 Flames goalies all time. Dude, I don't think I could name 5 Flames goalies, so it's not a hard list. It's not a hard list. It's really a lonely list of 2. Vernon and Kaprizov, end of story. Anyways, Dubuc is in next. Thanks, Moose.
You bet. Have a good one.
We'll be talking Panthers. We'll get the vibe from South Florida. And then a Week 3 preview with CFL alum and famed Cardinal Gibbons high school coach. 3-time, I got it right, Matt, 3-time 5A state champion, Matt Dubuc from Verdun, Quebec. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Welcome back, everybody. As you know, we are brought to you in part by our friends, the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team. They're heating up their season, led by former NBA Raptor Jalen Harris, with talent and coaching staff from the LA Clippers. Be sure to get your tickets now and don't miss the action at SaskTel Center this summer. Visit Ticketmaster.ca or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. They're home Thursday night to the Calgary Surge. Pro basketball, it's Indigenous night at SaskTel Center. Okay, let's bring in Matt Dubuc, my good friend from Cardinal Gibbons High School. Hey, Coach, before we jump into week 3 in the CFL, because I know you're all primed and ready to go, the sense from my Florida fans is this, a mix of these feelings: shock at what happened last night, some anger, and worry as this thing goes up to Edmonton Friday night. Have I sensed that right? And what are you feeling?
I completely disagree. I've watched the Panthers all year. What got them?
Okay.
What got them to 3-0, Rod? What got them to 3-0? Great defense, timely scoring, great goaltending. The one thing that most hockey fans probably know, the stick checking that the Panthers did in the first 3 games, making sure those passes by McDavid and those guys were never crisp passes, the making them change direction, angles. In the last 2 games, the last probably 7 periods hadn't been like that. The Panthers have not done that. They've given them those passes. They've given them the angles, and they've been paying for it. I think the Panthers are a tired team, and I don't think Edmonton has shown any quit. And actually, they look like they're getting stronger, and the Panthers with a 3-0 lead maybe took their foot off the gas. Maybe the trip north was too much. I don't know, but it's not the same tenaciousness, forechecking defense, and I think changing angles on passes. That's my opinion. I'm not.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
Well, hey, you and I have either different friends, or I didn't say the Panthers were angry, shocked, and worried. My friends, the fans, are. I think the Panthers are confident going up there Friday night, but people are just like, what hit them? Because they thought the first Stanley Cup was going to be in the bag Saturday night, and now they're thinking they're all going to lose it. By the way, did you play hockey growing up in Verdun, Quebec? I never asked you.
I played hockey until I was about 20 years old.
Okay. Oh, so even down in Florida. Cool. All right. Well, I know you know the game. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm a Habs fan.
Well, that's been largely good. But so, hey, that's enough about the hockey. We've been talking that enough.
Yeah.
Canadian Football League kicking off on week 3, Thursday night. Our poll question today, what's Canada's game of the week? Like me, you watch every game, but if you could only pick one, what are you picking? Thursday, Ottawa at Montreal. Friday, BC at Winnipeg. Saturday, Edmonton at Toronto. And Sunday, Hamilton at Sask. What's the game of the week?
I'll tell you what, it's hard to pick because I've watched every game from the second preseason game all the way to the last 2 weeks. And I think the coaching in the CFL right now is as good as it's ever been. I think the parity in the league right now is probably as strong as it's going to be. I mean, who would have thought Winnipeg be 0-2 right now with facing a pretty hot Vernon Adams? They're holding on for dear life not to have their fan base go nuts. So I think that's probably the most important game of the week, just based on knowing Mike O'Shea and what he does and, what a calm guy he is. He's not hitting any panic buttons, I can tell you that. His quarterback's got to play better. Collaros hasn't played great. They haven't gotten the pass rush they've gotten in the past, and they're paying for it with big plays. The return game is anemic where it's been explosive. So I think you get into those spots and people can pretty much figure out why you're not winning and why you're losing.
Our viewers agree with you, by the way, that BC at Winnipeg on Friday night is the biggest game. Is that your dog I can hear in the background? Are you at home doing? Can I hear your pup?
Yeah, you saw him when he was a little baby. He got snipped yesterday, so I came home to see him. Yeah, that's not an easy thing, but he's great.
Every guy feels that. Tyson?
Yeah, Tyson. You've met him.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, well, give my best to Tyson, man. We've all been there. We've been there. Here's the next one. Our poll question the other day. What's the biggest surprise so far in the CFL season? I'll put it to you. The Riders being 2-0, or the Bombers, Ticats, and Elks being 0-2. Which one of those is the biggest surprise?
I think Chris Jones has done a great job up getting his talent level up to where it needs to be to win. So him being 0-2, I think, is a surprise. Not probably to the fan base because they expect it because the Elks have been bad for a couple of years, but I think they're going to beat Montreal this week. They play Montreal, right? Toronto, that's right. Ottawa, I thought is really explosive. I thought they upgraded big time. I like the quarterback. I think everything that they're doing is good. So, the biggest surprise is obviously Winnipeg being that perennial power, is being 0-2. But I like Montreal. I think Noel plays great defense. I believe in the quarterback, but I could see them losing 2 in a row or being a 9-9 team. Montreal, I think they're good. I don't think they're above and beyond everybody else in the league, in my opinion. Sask, I love Trevor Harris. I think, he just can't get out of his own way, but he knows how to anticipate with the football. And we haven't even talked about Calgary. I think Jake Mayer is playing much better than he did a year ago. And, I think the frontline quarterbacks are pretty good. I feel bad for Vernon Adams where they can't bring in somebody on second down to run a quarterback sneak, and he's just getting absolutely beat on. So if you want him to play the whole year, you better get into that and fix that quick.
Well, if you asked me why they got him in short yardage, if you have a 6'7", 6'8" backup like they do in Jake Dolegala, his frame, the plyometrics don't lend themselves, I wouldn't think, to short yardage. Do you think that's why VA is a little more built for that than the giraffe Dolegala?
Yeah, but if VA is going to throw for all these yards and stay up and stay and play 18 games or 17 games, and you're asking him to take on big hits. To me, with my quarterbacks, I want them to get hit as few times as possible. I don't. But the theory and thought process changes. You better have 2 good quarterbacks in any league, anywhere, because if you don't, this whole thing. When the teams are very similar, sometimes it's the quarterback that's going to be the difference maker. And you saw it in Saskatchewan last year when they lost Trevor Harris. That thing just went the complete other direction.
Sure. Well, and hey, what do they say? A quarterback-driven league. They talk about that about the NFL. I bet your high school loop is a quarterback-driven league. If you don't have one, you lose. With Bo, they're 0-2. There's a story that's made the national wire here about how great he's been despite their 0-2 start. And I'll be honest, he did look pretty good. I made the comment that he's done. I was just doing that to get headlines. I don't think he's done. He looked pretty sharp. What do you think about Bo? And would you hitch your wagon to him like the Hamilton Tiger Cats have done at this stage of his career?
The father time always kind of wins out. So by father time, I don't know the ins and outs of his body mechanics and what he was dealing with. If you want to look at productivity, he's been one of the most productive quarterbacks in history. So I might hitch my wagon to him. I like him, but you better be looking for a young guy in this league that can process and lead teams and organizations. And hopefully Kelly will be back soon in Toronto. And looks like this understudy is going to get some good work in the meantime. And they'll figure out whether or not he could be a solution down the road. And I just look at the quarterbacks, and I'm not letting Vernon Adams take unnecessary hits. I'll put a linebacker in there. I'll put somebody else to do that, or a skill guy of some sort to take that punishment. So that's my opinion.
The CFL fans loving the discussion here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, Jake Mayer is putting up MVP numbers and no one is paying attention. That is a bit of a Calgary problem, but I also get what he's saying. You and I have talked about Jake Mayer a lot. When he came in, I think Huff was there, Dinwiddie was there, Mark Mueller, Dave Dickinson. All four couldn't have been wrong. I think you think he's a pretty good quarterback. Do you think he's the next one for the Stamps?
Listen, I think Dave Dickinson is smart. So if Dave Dickinson hitched his wagon to him and didn't hitch his wagon, to Bo, then I trust Dave Dickinson. I think he's a pretty smart guy, and so is Huffnagel. Those guys saw what he had, and I think you're starting to see the fruits of that coming. And again, you could play at University of Miami. It doesn't make you a good CFL quarterback. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. What happens to your body through time changes everything. Can you physically handle 27, 28, 29 years old to finally become the guy? And that's the biggest key.
You've seen,
Sorry,
hey Tyson. Hey, Tyson. Yeah, you're good. Do you want me to let you go, or have you got a couple more?
No, I'm good.
Couple more minutes.
I'm good. You're good.
Okay. I feel like you didn't think that dog was going to get to be that big. When we had that fundraiser that night, that fish fry, Tyson was like a quarter that size, if that.
He's now 85 pounds. So go ahead. Next question.
Like 20. Yeah, that was a great night, by the way. This. I see the Detroit Lions have signed a kicker out of the United Football League. I think the Michigan Panthers kicker. I'm not following that league that closely, but I want to ask you this. Because you're dealing with the high school loop and then the colleges and all the pro contacts you have, how is it affecting the Canadian Football League, the UFL, that there's a lot of guys are signing from that league to the NFL?
That's a great question. I see the talent. I don't see a drop-off in talent right now in the CFL. Actually, what I see in the CFL is I think they're doing a better job developing the Canadian players. I think there's a lot of talent in Canada, and those kids are coming out ready to play in the CFL. Funny story. We had a 7-on-7 yesterday at FAU. I run into Chris Carter. You all know who Chris Carter is. Now he's in player development with FAU. You all remember Duron Carter, longtime CFL player. Met Duron yesterday, had a great conversation with him. I'm going to interview him for one of our jobs this week. I called Jeremy over at Saskatchewan, and I called Chris, and both said, hey, smart, intelligent kid, just, at that time wasn't capable of being mature enough to handle living in another place, money, blah, blah, blah. And the two conversations I've had with Duron Carter have been great. So, again, the CFL was a connection for me and Duron. Football is the connection there. And I think the CFL, if the agents do a good job down south by giving their clients the ability to be part of it, then I think the talent level will keep coming. There's just so many people playing football, and there's so many good players playing football.
Exactly. And by the way, if it matters, I'll endorse Duron Carter as we're standing here right now. I absolutely love him, and he's one of the most intelligent guys you could ever hope to meet. So I look forward to seeing him on the sidelines at Cardinal Gibbons this season. But just to go back on this, I guess I shouldn't have brought up the kicker, because Canadian kickers are being squeezed out by globals, and that's a whole other issue. But I'm with you on the talent thing. The talent has not dropped off. And I think it's important that the people know that. The fans aren't dumb, though. They can see that. But you know how there was this threat. Spring football is going to hurt talent recruiting in Canada, and that just hasn't really happened, is what we're saying.
I think the guys I think the GMs, listen, they're running their free agent camps. They have the PFD or whatever they call it. They're watching all the college kids. These guys do their homework, and there's enough opportunities out there. It's kind of like Moneyball, the CFL. Listen, forget about the big names. Find the guys that are productive. Pay them a little bit better than they're paying them. They can pay them more. Make it worth their while. And we have NIL in Florida now. They want to pay high school kids. There's NIL in college football. They're paying, I think, the University of Miami quarterback in upwards of $2 million. It's better for him to play college football than take a shot in the NFL, take a blind leap of faith. And that kid could end up in Canada one day. You've seen it happen, Andre Ware, Doug Flutie, the list goes on and on. So the guys that embrace Canada, that want to have a life that, some guys will move up there and never come back to the States. And I've seen it happen a bunch of different times. But I think right now the league is solid. I don't know the financials, but the play is solid. Programs look to be funded properly. And you're seeing some pretty exciting football. I look forward to watching it. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Well, by the way, we had the commissioner on here the week of the kickoff of the season, so 2 weeks ago, and he said OSU's payroll, you probably know this, is $25 million US. But if you're playing the game or doing anything just for the paycheck, you probably got the wrong occupation. But anyways, Coach, thanks for this. Let's do it again soon. Keep in touch.
Yeah, Tyson apologizes for his untimely entrance into our screen. But, hey, listen, I just want the people to know the CFL is great. Support it. The Panthers, if they get back to business, doing what they did in the first 3 games, you'll see a Stanley Cup champion. If not, look out for Edmonton because they know how to win cups.
Sounds good, Coach. Thanks for the time.
Take care. Thank you.
Matt Dubuc, CFL alum and from Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 3-time 5A state champions. Okay, it's just you and me the rest of the way. Mandy, I'll answer your question and everybody else's. When we return, we got a sports update coming up and also viewer takeover. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the RP Show. As I said, it's just you and me the rest of the way. That's 20 solid minutes right on the nose. And whatever you'd like to talk about, it's a lot of hockey talk. You know what, though? That's what we have centered on is our lane, hockey and football. We will dabble in baseball, though, and I should mention the Moose Jaw Millers are here working out, getting ready for tonight's opener of a four-game homestand. Medicine Hat here tonight and tomorrow, and then Sylvan Lake Friday, Saturday. Join us at Ross Wells Park, 7:05 first pitch. I'll be broadcasting it on Home Team Live. Chad's watching out there in Lethbridge regarding the Stanley Cup Final. He writes in and says, kudos to the ice guys in Edmonton and Florida. Making ice in June in Florida can't be easy. Oh, it's so hot down there. That's why I'm here. They were complaining a lot about the ice on the broadcast, though, last night, weren't they? And regarding my rant off the top of hour 2 about Jack Nicklaus setting the tone last night in a bad way for Game 5. They have this drum. And you folks rarely ever see it on TV, but they have a drum right in the middle behind the net, like up in the upper deck, and they've got, well, it's at the top of the lower bowl is actually where it is. And they bring in a sports celebrity to beat on this drum. And last night it was Jack Nicklaus, and he looked disinterested. It was lackluster, his beating of the drum. Like a grade 4 shaking the tambourine. And it set the tone. Chad writes that he says, the Golden Bear looked lost. Taking a cue from the sound guy. Get Keith Tkachuk to bang the drum. I'd have taken just about anybody else but the Golden Bear last night. He says, Bill Zito was fired up after the last McDavid goal, and OEL sure gave up on the play on Chucky's save. Oh, yeah. Panthers had a lot of things that they can regret about Game 5 on Tuesday night. So all I'm saying is you got 2 days off to reset. I'm looking at this from a Panthers perspective. And by the way, my friend Dallas is writing. I think we're still friends. I don't understand why do people get bent out of shape about who other people are cheering for? Don't worry about it. But Dallas says, I can't believe you are aligned with the dark side after your years of Oilers fandom. I said, the Oilers haven't done much for me. The Panthers do a lot. It's pretty simple. It's a what have you done lately for me business, and the Oilers haven't done much for me lately for a long time. And, yeah, Panthers, as they've acknowledged, were a huge part of our Cats and Bolts podcast, winning the fastest growing podcast of the year award. So that's why. Sports update, by the way, speaking of hockey, the New Jersey Devils acquired Jacob Markstrom in a trade with the Calgary Flames on Wednesday, getting the goalie that they have been targeting for quite some time. New Jersey sent 6'6", 23-year-old defenseman Kevin Ball and a top 10 protected 2025 first-round pick to the Flames. Markstrom will be part of a tandem with fellow veteran Jake Allen next season. GM Tom Fitzgerald made that Jake Allen trade in March. New Jersey missed the playoffs this season after having a team save percentage of .896. That was in the bottom 5. Markstrom is signed for 2 more seasons at a salary cap hit of $6 million. The Flames will retain 31% of Markstrom's salary. We talked about this a lot because this broke. in the first segment of today's show. I said the Flames are in a rebuild. They're just not telling anybody that because that's a swear word in sports now, but don't buy it. It's a good day. And I don't want to fight with people, but Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, well, this is depressing. Look how long it took the Oilers to get to where they are with their rebuild. And also look where the Oilers are. Okay? Again, everything is how you look at everything and perspective. If you want to sit there and spin your wheels in the mud forever, which is what the Flames have been doing forever, finally they've said, we're tired of that. So Craig Conroy, which I meant to get to with Moose earlier and I didn't. But I asked Joey Alfieri in hour one. He works for the Alouettes. He's like their digital reporter guy. He's the Gary Lawless of the Montreal Alouettes. I said, well, how did they go about building the culture there? And he said, good people. And as he rattled off Danny Machocha and Jason Maas and Cody Fajardo and the good people in that locker room. Yeah, we all know good people, but they're also winners. They're winners. They've won everywhere they've gone. So it's not all nice to have nice guys. But as John Lynch used to say, nice guys run the Kinsman Club. We need some winners in here too. And the Alouettes have done that, and it took them a year to rebuild. That doesn't usually happen. And Craig Conroy, I'd say he's a winner. Ryan Huska, we know, is a winner. And it's a tough situation in Calgary. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this because I haven't been there like the last 2 summers. But I have been there enough to know that they're frustrated there and they are tired of being told to be patient. But what choice do you have, Jeff, the Stamps fan, or any Calgary sports fans? Then don't go. But you're not going to do that. You're still going to buy your tickets. You're still going to fill that barn because you're a Canadian NHL market. And be positive about it. At least this is a good day today. Instead of griping about saying goodbye to Markstrom. And do you think changing a culture was going to happen in a year under Huska and Conroy? Because if you did think that, you're fooling yourself. And by the way, Markstrom, if you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. Bye-bye. It's Dustin Wolf time. Anyways, I got hung up here on the sports update. There's more. Not even a WNBA basketball game is an escape from the arguments and polarization that are so common in American life these days. Some of the atmosphere in the public and media that has swirled around the Professional Women's League since the season started last month has been less fun time and more culture war. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, is in the eye of the storm. The white 22-year-old #1 draft pick has become a canvas for all sorts of projections in her debut season with the Indiana Fever. She and the predominantly black and brown women in the league have become proxies for long-standing American issues, including race, gender, who's in the spotlight, and who is ignored. I'm just reading that from the Associated Press Sports Wire, and that's where I have a real problem with the way the media can paint things, because just before we went to air today, a good friend of mine here in Moose Jaw texted me, John, and asked me what I thought about the Panthers fans booing the Canadian national anthem last night. And I'm like, I watched that game from neck to navel, start to finish. I watched the anthems, and I didn't even notice them booing the Canadian national anthem. That seems to have been started by somebody. Now, if it did, somebody tell me. I didn't even notice, and that's what I told John. But it's like people are trying to start narratives. John ain't, but somebody was. And this story, it's America's all about fighting. No, it's not. And the people in Florida are nice, go with the flow people, and I have a tough time believing they would even do that. The sports update is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. And, of course, this, Landmark Cinemas, now playing at Landmark Cinemas, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. This summer, the world's favorite bad boys are back with their iconic mix of edge-of-your-seat action and outrageous comedy. But this time with a twist. Miami's finest are now on the run. Starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, I can attest that's all true. It's my kind of movie. Go check it out, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. We'll be right back with Overtime after this here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcast, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America. Seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Oh, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime, brought to you by our good friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Everybody perked up with what we were talking about with the Flames. Well, if we still have you, head on down, if you haven't yet, to Overtime Hockey Lanes, where skill and fun collide. Say hey to Randy and Michelle. Tell them the RP Show sent you. And I'm also getting messages from people that are going there for team building, like office building events and that kind of thing. Great team bonding can be done at Overtime Hockey Lanes, where they have a licensed bar and restaurant. Just go and you can thank me later. 28th Street Northeast in Cowtown. It's been an interesting show. Matt Dubuc was on here from Fort Lauderdale. We hang out a ton. I love his family, his kids. I get a real bang out of them. He said that he interviewed Duron Carter for a coach on his staff, coaching position. Mandy in Edmonton says, what position? Well, listen, I know Duron really well. And as he will tell you, he can coach any position. My guess is receiver, but he can coach any position. To be honest, I didn't know it till Dubuc dropped it. Chris Carter and I belong to the same gym, Johnny O's. It's a real nice, tight community that we have down there. Bobby Biceps is going to be in it too. He just doesn't know it yet. Mandy says too, she goes, I think I need to move to Florida, but RP scared me with how hot the sun is this time of year. That's just me being a wimp. That's just me, Mandy. I've said to Serena, maybe I'm going to have to bite the bullet and spend a summer there. But for now, I don't have to. So as long as I can come to Canada for the summers, call baseball, be involved with the CEBL, I'm going to keep doing it. There's a lot of people, you just saw a rink full of them last night, 19,500, that aren't complaining at all. Nobody complains about the heat but me. So I may deal with it one day. Don't let that scare you off, is what I'm saying. John Ohm in Winnipeg writes in, he says the CFL needs to get more innovative. Helmet cams on the quarterbacks and running backs, chips in the football. Oops, chips in the football. Yeah, I don't know what they need, man. I see people talking, and at least they've stopped writing in here saying, what do the Elks need to do to, I don't know. I don't work for them. I would suggest starting with winning. Man, I don't know. It's a small league, man. Literally, it doesn't make Edmonton look real good that Machocha rolled in there with solid ownership, by the way. I don't ask Joey Alfieri from the Alouettes office about ownership at all, because I did that once, and that was a mistake under the last owner. But let's be honest, it shouldn't have taken the Elks this long. I don't know what's going on up there. And it doesn't help that the Oilers are doing what they're doing either, and people are spending all their money on Oiler tickets. But it's not good. And as I've said going into this season, the CFL has a lot of problems. I don't want to be one of them. So we're focusing on the good things, the things that we like. David, number one in Winnipeg, regarding the Panthers fans booing the Canadian national anthem. Look, I didn't hear it, and I watched the game, so I'm not going to get into it. As I've said many times, my friends, like I say this to Serena all the time, we're so lucky because the circle of people that we've crafted are all happy, positive, supportive people. The toxic people, they gone. They don't last. So my friends wouldn't do that, and I didn't hear it. Yeah, well, here's Brent in Wellington. He's in our group of friends. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes, and he says, I didn't hear any boos, but I did hear a lot of hockey fans, both Panthers and Oilers, singing both anthems proudly. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I didn't see or hear the booing that people are talking about. Ryan in Saratoga, New York writes, and he says, I'm hoping Jacob Markstrom is the final piece the Devils need to get into next year's playoffs. Already looking forward to next season. And that's the other thing. You folks all tune in here because you get entertained on a daily basis, but don't forget, we don't put Rudy Poos on the air. We don't put Rudy Poos on the air. Jersey Jim called this Markstrom to New Jersey trade back in January. And Jim came down to Fort Lauderdale, and I picked him up at the at his hotel, and we drove around Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale area, and we talked about all this stuff. Jersey Jim is connected in the swamp. And I don't mean Florida. I mean New Jersey. Jim's connected. He's very good at what he does. Mandy in Edmonton writes in. She says, I can't move to Florida because Duran will charge me with stalking. Well, you only have yourself to blame for that. Monty in Saskatoon writes in, and he says, awesome. Overtime is awesome. Own the show. Rod. Yeah, we do. By the way, and one more from Brent in Wellington, Florida. He says, Oiler fan friends got fully dressed at my house, blue jeans and jerseys, had to sit back and laugh watching them sweat to death. It's unreal heat. It's heat like you've never felt. But I feel like I'm the only one that complains about it. So I'll stop. You've got 22 hours to vote on our poll. What's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? Leading the way is Friday night, Winnipeg, home to BC. That's what everybody says is the game of the week. I'm sticking with Hamilton Sask. I think that'll be good. Dale in Winnipeg writes in. He says, hey, Rod, great as always. Sea Bears tonight with my mom. Jack is away with his mom. Happy Wednesday. This is the thing that I wish more people were into the Canadian Elite Basketball League, because I see the Winnipeg Sea Bears released MVP Teddy Allen. Why did they do that? Does anybody know? Does anybody want to tell me why the Sea... Like, I don't even know anybody that I would text that would say, that I could say, why did the Sea Bears release Teddy Allen? Because that popped in my head, but it's like, said no one ever. I don't even know who I would write to ask that question. But the Sea Bears are home tonight to the Vancouver Bandits. Scarborough's at Niagara, and Montreal is at Brampton in the CEBL. Western Canadian Baseball League tonight. Moose Jaw Miller's home to Medicine Hat. We're going to have our way with the Mavericks. You can watch it on Home Team Live, but better yet, come on out to Roswell's Park and join us. Regina Red Sox visit the Weyburn Beavers. The Brooks Bombers, one night after bombing the Saskatoon Berries 24-7, will visit the Berries again tonight. Sylvan Lake is at Swift Current, and Lethbridge is at Okotoks. By the way, I brought this in, Clark, and then I forgot to even tell Moose.
How about that? Spicy! Bingo! Bob's your
Get a
uncle.
picture of it. Yeah, Ricky has shown up. Ricky has shown up. So we're going to have a lot of fun this summer. See you tomorrow.
McFly, hello.